Hi everyone, Sandra Vail here at Homesteading Ways, and today I'm going to be reviewing the Excalibur food dehydrator. Alright, to start with, I wanted to make sure you guys could hear how loud the machine is when it's on. It's not that loud at all. Now, I've had my Excalibur since 2009, so I'm on about 8 years with it, and it's going great. This is the 3500 model, so it has 9 trays, and it's, to me, one of the best purchases I've ever made. But let's get a little bit closer so you can see what it's all about. Alrighty, we're at the top of the machine here where the temperature guide is and the temperature gauge. Now, it'll on the left there, it kind of shows you what different foods go at what different settings. And on the right is the dial to put them at. Now, I have heard that the new Excaliburs start at 105 degrees. Now, this turns on and starts working as soon as you're off of that off button. And I'm not 100% sure, but I think someone told me it starts at around 87 degrees. Now, it's not a big deal, but I do use that setting at 95 degrees and less. I use it for herbs because you want to dehydrate herbs at the lowest temperature possible, because if you dehydrate them at a higher temperature, you run the risk of basically burning out those oils in the herbs that give them their great flavor and their nutritional value. Also, don't quote me on this, but I think the raw food people, the people that enjoy eating, all their food raw, I believe they can use the dehydrator if it's below 105, at 105 and below. I will occasionally dehydrate fruit that I plan on using as snacks at a really low temperature, say 95 degrees, because that keeps the enzymes in the food as if it were still raw. And why not get those extra enzymes if you can? Other than that, if you don't plan on doing any of that, then I suppose that difference in temperature change wouldn't really matter. Also, the newer ones go up to 165 degrees, I believe. As a side note, this is the cookbook, if that's what you want to call it, that came with the dehydrator. I've kept it all these years because it's a great reference guide. I don't know if they've changed it at all or not, but if you do get an Excalibur, I do encourage you to hang on to it. Okay, let's look inside now. I have had this running because I did want to do a little bit of a demo here and show you what you can do with it, but it's not finished. So, as I said earlier, it does come with 9 trays. I do have one out right now, and the fan for this is in the back of the machine. So there's no rotating of any of these trays. It gets an even heat and airflow through all of the trays. Now, when you're doing vegetables, a lot of the times, just like if you were going to freeze them, you would need to blanch them. It's not necessary in the way of, the food will go bad, but almost more so with most of them, not all, it is due to the color. They will come out looking a whole lot better if you blanch them ahead of time. And in fact, one of them that I blanch because of color and looks would be carrots, because they do come out looking so much better if they've been blanched. But a way to sidestep that, if you want to, is using frozen vegetables. Now, I'll buy these 1-pound bags of vegetables when they're on sale, and I put them straight here in the dehydrator. Now, this is a bag of mixed vegetables that I plan on using for soup during the winter, whatever kind of soup I'm making. Now, this hasn't been completely dehydrated yet, but it's getting there. It's pretty close. And in here we have green beans, corn, carrots, and peas. And all of those vegetables do fine in the dehydrator. Now you want to try and make sure when you're using fresh yourself that you cut them into a uniform size so that they dehydrate at the same rate. And then down here I have, yeah, these still need longer. These are fruit and yogurt roll-ups. Do you know those fruit roll-ups that the kids like from the store? Well, what you do is you just get some fruit puree, or do it yourself, and you can put them here in your dehydrator. Now see, the trays here, these little inserts have holes in them, so of course you can't put liquid on or it'll go right through the holes. Excalibur does make a solid sheet for this, specifically for stuff like that. However, when I got my dehydrator, they were $5 a piece, I think. Don't quote me on it, but I didn't want to pay for them at the time, and you know, now I've had it long enough so it doesn't bother me. But you can use parchment paper instead, and so that's what I use. And what I do is I take the puree and I mix it with a little bit of yogurt, and I put them in little circles on here, and then when they're done you can peel them right off, or you can cut them into pieces and stack them right on top of one another. What a lot of ladies do, especially if they have young children or grandkids, is they just fill the whole square with it and then use a pizza cutter and then roll them up that way. So that's a great idea. It will save you a bunch of money because holy cow, those things are expensive. But there's no additives, there's no preservative, there's nothing that you didn't put in there yourself. So look in the description box again. I will link up to some of the videos I've done on using my dehydrator, different recipes and stuff like that, and I believe I have a video with this in there. Now another thing I use the dehydrator for is for herbs, all different kinds of herbs. And on here today I have just some oregano and thyme. Now normally both of these will dry pretty quick, just on your countertop, if you hang them up in your pantry, whatever. But there may be sometimes when you want to hurry that process along. A lot of herbs like these are lightweight and they will blow around in that dehydrator if you don't weigh them down. And so when I'm doing small herbs like this, I just take one of the inserts out of another tray and cover it like that, and it dries perfectly fine just like that. Okay, now each one of these trays measures 15 by 15. So overall you get about 15 square feet of drying space when you're using your dehydrator. And that's great, especially during the summertime gardening season when you have a lot of produce coming in, produce, you know, fruit and veggies and herbs. Dehydrators have come a long way since just doing beef jerky. Try chicken jerky, it's really great. It takes less time and it soaks up the flavor quicker. Anyhow, the one problem that people find with these nice bigger trays is that they can be a little cumbersome when washing them. Now, I have a really large farm sink here, so that's not a problem at all. But for most of the years that I've owned this, I had a double sink like most American people do. And so it's kind of hard getting this in and out of the sink. If you're only doing 1 or 2 trays, it's not at all a big deal. But if, for instance, you took all 9 trays and you dried honey dip bananas, and so everything's super sticky, and you're going to need to wash all of them, a couple of tricks I've heard from other ladies who use this dehydrator is either to take them and wash them in your tub, or bathtub I mean, or your stationary tub, or not everybody calls it that, like that slop tub next to your washing machine. You know, so I guess just pick and choose what's more convenient for you. If you have a first floor laundry room, then by all means go ahead and put them in that nice big deep sink you have. But if your laundry room's a couple flights down, then go ahead and do it in the bathtub if you need to wash all of them at one time. Otherwise, don't worry about it. Put them in your sink. You got one or two, not that big of a deal. They are really easy to, these inserts are easy to clean. It's just sometimes this, if you get some really sticky stuff that you let sit a day or two, yeah, it could be a little bit of a problem. Okay, the last thing I want to mention about this dehydrator is I believe it is 600 watts. So just in case you wanted to know that. And also it does tend to put off some heat. So if your kitchen is already hot to begin with, you may want to relocate this to maybe a room you don't use that often. But I also know a lot of people who put them out on their porch. Also, the drying times. The drying times will vary depending upon the temperature and, more importantly, the humidity of the room that the dehydrator is in. So anyhow, that is my review of the Excalibur. Like I said, I love it. I've used it now for 8 years and I have never once had a problem with it. So I will leave a link down in the description box for you to check out, along with the links for my dehydrating videos. I appreciate you taking the time to watch this. That was really nice of you to do. Comment, that would be great. Subscribe, that would be awesome. It was nice talking to you, and you take care.